Welcome to Winnipeg channel's video about Kennedy. We're gonna start the video off with a police officer passing us, which is actually a really common sight here. I know a lot of people in Winnipeg very rarely hear sirens in their neighborhood, maybe once a day or once a week, but here it's every 10 minutes or even more. So we're taking a left onto North Kennedy. Now, the reason I say North Kennedy is because South Kennedy is cut in half by Portage Place. Now, there's no distinction in the name, that's just what I call it. On the right, you can actually see some of the original buildings in this neighborhood. They were almost all abandoned in the 80s, where these new public housings were built. You can even see some of the original buildings on the left still. But the vast majority of this street is public housing. I'd say around 80%. I'd say this is the largest public housing development in the province of Manitoba, maybe even in all of Western Canada, but I wouldn't be able to confirm. Definitely the biggest in Winnipeg, and the only high-rise development in Winnipeg. There's more than just public housing in Central Park. There's schools, there's a very nice park, therefore giving its name Central Park. It used to be much more dense, there used to be more trees in Central Park, but they actually cut them all down because of the crime. On the left there's more public housing, and in front of us there's a mix of private and public housing. There's some private apartments here, but the vast majority of this neighborhood, I'd say 60+%, is public housing. Now, I grew up here. It's actually a pleasant neighborhood to grow up in, I'd say. You don't really feel the crime, but when you grow up, you definitely feel different than the other people in the city because, like I said, the sirens, the stress, the view, as you can see on the left, there's an abandoned apartment. Totally abandoned. People live there actually on the top floor. It's not completely abandoned, but it looks totally abandoned. You guys could see there's some very beautiful buildings still left though, like the church and the apartment on the left, some of the original buildings of this neighborhood. Nice skyline view in this city. The high-rises, actually, the public housing buildings, have great views of the city. Some of the best views. This is Quest Inn on the left. I would not recommend going to this hotel. That's Portage Place in front of us. It's the mall that actually cuts Kennedy in half. Funnily enough, the southern portion of Kennedy, past the mall over there, is where the law courts are. So a pretty big distinction between north and south. On the right here we have a Transport Canada building, and the purple building on the right is actually a Biohealth Canada Research Council. I'm not educated enough to know actually, but it's some sort of scientific office. The reason there's so many federal buildings here is because in the 80s, early 90s, a lot of this neighborhood was totally abandoned. So they needed to find something to fill it with. It's very lively though. I'd say living here you're very close to everything. There's buses going everywhere. It's actually a much better neighborhood to live in than I'd say a suburban neighborhood in Winnipeg. I'd say it's better than Waverly West. Much better than what people would think are rich neighborhoods. There's no buses that go through Wellington Crescent. There's barely any buses that go to suburbs. Over here you can go to any part of the city very fast. That's what I mean by growing up here. You don't actually feel poor or anything. You feel like you're in the middle of everything. But to say the least, this neighborhood has been neglected for a while. On the right coming up we're gonna see Jumbo's Pizza, which has actually been around for a while. 25+ years. It's just right around the corner actually. We're gonna take a turn. What's crazy here is that you'll see corner stores and corner stores right next to each other. There's Jumbo's Pizza on the right. It's famous across all of Winnipeg for a very long time. As you can see, there's apartments, a whole group of apartments completely abandoned on the right. There's abandoned houses, and they've been abandoned for years. There's a beer vendor. You know, you could look at it as a good thing or a bad thing that the beer vendor is very close. Actually, everything is very close to this neighborhood. There's halal stores, there's Giant Tiger, Freshco, Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, malls, liquor store, dispensaries, clubs. Everything is very, very, very close to this neighborhood, including high schools, schools, just things for normal people. As you can see right there on the left, there's a dental laboratory. You are in walking distance of everything. So even though this is a very dangerous neighborhood when it comes to Winnipeg, I don't want people to think that it's a bad neighborhood. It's actually much better than most neighborhoods. But there is a very serious issue with crime. The population here is maybe only 3,700 people, 3,700, but there was 5 homicides in 2022, which means 5 people were killed. That gives it a homicide rate of 1 in 700, which realistically, its statistics do not reflect completely on danger, but it puts it in the same category as the most dangerous neighborhoods in the United States. But me, somebody who grew up here, I really can't say that I feel that it deserves this kind of reputation. I think, like I said, it's been neglected, and I think it has a lot of potential. And a lot of businessmen are interested actually in building new apartment buildings around this area because they know it's a great area. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching Winnipeg at Channel video about Central Park. We hope to make more videos about dangerous areas about Winnipeg, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.